This morning, Tony Crocamo is here representing Fair Districts PA, a non-partisan coalition of citizens and organizations seeking to reform Pennsylvania's redistricting rules to make the process of drawing voter districts impartial, transparent, and accountable.
Louder, Barbara.
As a Fair Districts PA speaker and a member of the FDPA advocacy team, Tony conducts training sessions on how to lobby state legislators. I hear myself. With more than 30 years of experience providing marketing services for international engineering and design firms in New York, Maryland, and Pennsylvania, Tony now conducts communication skills training programs and workshops on storytelling for businesses, as well as for individuals as a way to strengthen and enrich family life by preserving family histories. He and his wife, Christine, live in West Hempfield Township, Lancaster County. Speaking to us today on Misshapen Democracy, Why Voter District Maps Matter. Please welcome Tony Crocamo.
Thank you very much, Barb, and thank you everybody for coming today and braving the virus. And how many here do the fist bump? Fist bump. How many do the toe tap? How many do the elbow tap? All right, listen. We got to get one way to do it. We're not going to get through this unless we find one alternative to the handshake. So work on that. Think about it sometimes. I'm for the air fist bump. Nice and it's closest to the handshake of all of them. And you're not touching it. So I advocate for the air fist bump. Do what you like, but pick one. Pick one, please. Again, thanks for coming out today. And we have two state reps with us today. We have, and I think you have my notes because here, Tina Davis. And Wendy Thomas. When state reps and people in the political process come in, get out in the public on an issue like this, they may not like everything I say today. You may not like everything I say today. However, everything I say today is, by my lights, accurate and nonpartisan. And sometimes nonpartisan can be less than complimentary to political parties. But, in my defense, I'm equally non-flattering to both political parties. So, that is my nonpartisan statement. So today what we're going to do, can you hear me without the mic?
No.
Here's the thing, I'm Italian.
No.
I already got a clicker in one hand, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to talk. I'm going to try this without the mic, and if you have any trouble hearing me, let me know, and I will go back to the mic. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, so today what we're going to do, we're going to talk about reapportionment. We're going to define reapportionment, redistricting, and gerrymandering. We're going to talk about Pennsylvania's two redistricting processes. And if you come away from anything from this, this is one of the really important things, because this is what makes the issue complicated. We have two different processes. We have fair district solution for the redistricting problem, the gerrymandering problem we have in Pennsylvania. We want to have an independent citizens commission to draw the lines. We want to take the politicians and their cronies out of the job of drawing the district lines. Because when Republicans draw the lines favor Republicans. When Democrats draw the lines favor Democrats. When citizens draw the lines in favor of citizens, those are the districts we want. And I'm looking around, you're all, of a certain age here. I don't want to break anybody's hearts. But the Republican Party, political parties, all political parties, they can't help themselves. They are not altruistic organizations. On the local level, the grassroots level, people are doing a lot of good things in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. But you get up to the state level, and it changes. It changes into a power dynamic. And the game at that level is, forgive me, to hold on to and maintain power. The focus isn't necessarily on democracy or fair districts. Certainly not when the politicians are drawing the lines. So we're going to talk about how to get to that solution. And Fair Districts is supporting two bills well, a bill in the House, a bill in the Senate, well, two bills, each of them in the House and the Senate, mirror bills. And we're going to talk about citizen involvement. Citizenship is a contact sport. You can't do it on Facebook. You can't just argue with your brother-in-law. You got to get out there, you got to talk to the representatives. We have a representative democracy. And unless we are in contact with our representatives, that link is broken. And the information that we get, that the representatives get, our state senators and our state representatives, if they're relying just on leadership, party leadership, to tell them what's going on, that is the story that best suits that party. And it may not be all the information. And I hope today I'm giving you a much wider swath, a broader brush on this issue. So reapportionment. Reapportionment is why we have redistricting. Reapportionment is also why we have the census. And in Article 1 of the federal Constitution, every 10 years there is a census. And the original purpose of the census was for apportioning, allocating congressional seats. And I think in 1790 we had something like 65 congressional seats. And then as the population of the United States grew every 10 years, we got more and more representatives. We now have 435. This is Congress, by the way, 435 in Congress. Federal, Washington, D.C. Anybody here want more Congress people? I've been doing this talk for 4 years now, 3 or 4 years, and nobody's ever said, yes, please, more Congress people. And that's one of the problems. There's this disconnect, there's this distrust, this dislike of our representatives that we keep putting into office. Now, it's 435, it's capped at 435, and I believe right around 1929. And the reason for that was, at the time, there was a lot of immigration into the United States, and this is all my grandparents' fault. That's why it's capped. My grandparents came to this country right around that time, and immigrants who were, according to the press at the time and political opinion at the time, were not going to assimilate. They weren't going to learn the language. They weren't going to become good citizens. They weren't trustworthy. They were vermin infested. Not much has changed in the last 100 years when it comes to that issue. There's still some of the same arguments you hear today. So my grandparents, like many people, immigrated to Italy and elsewhere, located in the cities. They went to the cities, and suddenly urban populations were expanding around the turn of the century, 1913, 1915. And this created a power balance. There's always been this struggle in America between what's good for urban centers and what's good for rural areas. And what's good for one isn't necessarily good for the other. So Congress passed a law in 1929 that went through, and it capped the legislature, the Congress, at 435. So that's why it doesn't grow anymore. And before Congress, people have, it's 700,000 people they had to take care of. Pretty tough job for one person. So Pennsylvania in 1990, we had 21 congressional seats. In the census in 2000, because of population shifts, we went down to 19. We're now at 18 in 2010. It looks like if current trends continue, we suspect we're going to lose at least one seat in the 2020 census and be down to 17 townspeople. And in fact, in 2010, Pennsylvania's population grew a little, but other areas had much higher growth, so we lost a congressperson anyway. So when you lose a congressperson, you go from 18 districts to 17, the boundaries change. And that's why we have reapportionment to reallocate congressional seats. Redistricting is drawing boundaries for the state senate, state districts, and it's about 254,000 people in each district. That's what it's supposed to be for state senate. State house, 62,500 people in each state house district. And congressional districts, 700,000 people in each congressional district. And there are two procedures for drawing Pennsylvania district boundaries, and this is very important. There's one procedure for congressional, federal, Washington, D.C., congressmen, congresswomen. And there's one for state and legislative districts. Two very different processes. That's why there are two bills to address the issue. You have to have a bill for each one. Now, gerrymandering. What is gerrymandering? Simply, gerrymandering is drawing district lines to favor one party or one politician or disfavor a party or politician to benefit a party or a candidate. That's all it is. It's basically rigging the system. Now, this is Elbridge Gerry. His last name was Gerry, and he was governor of Massachusetts in 1812, and he approved a redistricting process, and it kind of looked like, according to a newspaper editorial cartoon, it looked like a salamander. And that's where gerrymandering comes from. They matched up Gary, his name, with the salamander, and they came up with gerrymandering. It should be gerrymandering. That ship has sailed. It's gerrymandering, right? It's one of those things where you can be right, and everybody will think you're wrong. So if you're one of those people, enjoy. That's the thing with Harry S. Truman. Truman has no middle name, so the S doesn't have a period. So if you put the period in, you're wrong. Try to win that argument. Oh, by the way, Elbridge Gerry, interesting guy. He is one of our founding fathers. He's not one of the major lights, but he signed the Declaration of Independence. He was at the Constitutional Convention. He didn't sign the Constitutional Convention because he wanted the Bill of Rights. Well, he did a lot of good things. He was the 5th Vice President of the United States. He died in office, not much of an accomplishment, but 5th Vice President. So this guy, this is a moral lesson for us all. You can do a lot of great things in your life, but you mess up once. And you're going to get stuck with something like gerrymandering the rest of the time. So, two redistricting processes. Federal government is George, Pennsylvania. Two different processes. Federal government is the majority party draws the map. Easy peasy. The majority party in Harrisburg draws the district maps for congressional districts. It's voted on by the state house, and it passes because the majority party drew the maps. They have a majority. It's voted on by the state senate, and it passes because the majority party drew the maps. And it's signed by the governor because you got to have an election. They do this very, very late in the process. So people have to know where the districts are, and you can't say, I'm going to veto that, it's going to be another 90 days, because then you can't have an election. That's not going to happen. So no public input. No public input on this. Limited legislative input. Now I say no public input. In the last go around in 2010, the maps were approved, I guess, in 2011, 2012. Those are the maps that were eradicated by the Supreme Court a year or so ago. A year ago, and they had 3 public hearings in May and June of 2011, but there were no maps to look at. 3 public hearings in May and June. Then the legislation was introduced in the Senate in September. Nothing happened between June and September. Legislation and the description in the Senate bill of every one of the 18 congressional districts was exactly the same. Quote, consisting of a portion of the Commonwealth. Any questions? Okay? That was the description in the bill in the Senate in Harrisburg for the first consideration, for the second consideration, and for the third consideration. They did not see the actual description of the boundaries until 14 hours before passing that legislation. So when I say limited legislative input, these are the people in charge of the majority party, and at that time the Republicans, running the show. They decide where our districts are. And they have a vested interest in where those lines are drawn. And certainly in those maps, according to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, they were so egregious they were unconstitutional. Pennsylvania Constitution. Well, I'm sorry. There we go. The Commonwealth shall be, any lawyers here? Okay, good, we can talk. In contract language, now this is not legal advice, just in case there's a lawyer here who didn't admit it. This is not contract advice, it's legal advice, but in contract language, shall means will. They got to do it. Will means may. You can do it. And may means might. You can. Right? Shall means will. You got to do it. So, the Commonwealth shall be divided into 50 senatorial, 203 representative districts. They got that part right. We have 50 Senate and 203 representative districts, which shall be composed of compact and contiguous territory as nearly equal in population as is practicable. That's a hard word to pronounce, trust me. Practicable. They didn't get that part. So and this is the part I love. Unless absolutely necessary. Again, since there's no lawyers here, we probably all think we know what that means. Right? Unless absolutely necessary. No county, city, incorporated, town, borough, township, or ward shall be divided in forming either a senatorial or a representative district. When I was preparing for this presentation, I wanted to find out who the representatives here, and I did not realize how fractured Bucks County was, and I left out the names of 2 representatives. Because I just got a little bit, it was late. It was late. But, how many representatives are in Bucks County? It's at least 3, right?
10.
There are 10. They found it.
State reps.
State reps, yes. They found it absolutely necessary.
There's a third here.
And there's a third. Where's the third?
Oh, I'm here.
And
I'm
you
Megan
are?
Schroeder.
Okay, great.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Need to listen to
Terrific. Talk to them. All right, so they found it absolutely necessary in Bucks County. How many? Anybody know the population of Bucks County? Yeah.
It's about 675.
600,000. Okay. So look. Go back here a little bit. Forgive me. Don't look. You're gonna get dizzy. Where's the number? There we go. State Senate, 600,000. Is there any reason, there should be more than 3?
We have 3, and then a 4th one which shares into Berks, and
There's another one that we shared.
Yeah, we have 4.
The 12
well, we have 4.
Yeah, the Senate is 62,000. The House is 62,000, and you have 300,000, you said?
600.
Almost
600,000,
Almost
okay.
700.
So 10 is about right.
yeah, 10 is right.
Okay. I'm sorry to put you through this. Avert your eyes. Okay, now, redistricting for the State House and State Senate. Pennsylvania Constitution says, now this is defined in the Pennsylvania Constitution, the process for the State House and State Senate. It's a 5-member political commission consisting of 4 party leaders, 2 from, the major party, majority party in the House and Senate leaders, and the minority party in the House and Senate leaders. That's the 4. 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. They pick a chair. And if they can't agree, and they can't, the Supreme Court picks the chair. And this is why we think we have some leverage with Republicans. The Supreme Court is majority Democratic. And they will pick the chair, and the chair will be a Democrat. And then the Democrats will gleefully do to the Republicans what the in 2021, what the Republicans did to the Democrats in 2012. They will do it. I can tell you that my impression is last year when Fair District was working with Democrats and Republicans and trying to get these bills through, that a number of Democrats that were really in favor of the bill last year, their ardor has cooled. And I suspect it's because a number of those Democrats realize that they're going to have the pen in their hand to draw the distance. So apparently, and this is on both sides of the aisle, redistricting is a nefarious, undemocratic, nasty, evil, slimy thing to do when the other guy does it. But only then. Political affiliation and chair determines the party controls the process. No public input. No public input. The other one, they had the public hearings when there were no maps involved in May and June, and then it passed without even the legislature knowing what the Senate initially knowing what they were voting on, and no legislative input. And this, when legislators, representatives and senators that I've met with have said, well, I think the legislators should be involved, legislators should be involved, you're not. You're not. You're frozen out of the process. The political bosses control this process. And the legislators, and many of our legislators, were not in the House and Senate for the last go-around. And they suspect. You were?
We had no say.
You had no say. No say. And do you think it's going to change? I won't put it on the spot.
I just want to tell you what they did. They told us you're going to see your district on a computer that day. That's how we found out at our desk. And some people were freaking out, and some people were like, and we had to learn a new district.
And by the way, those maps passed with Democratic support. They had a good number of Democrats in the Philadelphia area voted for those maps because there was stuff in the Philadelphia districts with Democrats from the outlying districts, so a Democrat who would have won the election by 60% to 40% gets to win it by 75 to 25. They did. And you can't blame somebody, every so often you want a no coin when they're running for office. You don't get them too often unless you're in Pennsylvania and the district is working for you. Okay, gaming the system. Now on this slide you have 50 people represented by the red, yes they're red, trust me, and blue. And this is 60% blue, 40% red. You draw the lines this way, and you get 3 blue districts and 2 red districts, which comes up to 60% blue, 40% red. So that redistricting, drawing the lines in that way, is an accurate representation of the will of the people. Okay? You draw them this way, and you get 5 blue districts and 0 red. That is not an accurate representation of the will of the people in Pennsylvania. You draw them this way, you get 2 blue districts and 3 red. And then the reds control the process. So the only thing that moves in these graphics here, 4 graphics here, the only thing that moves, the only thing that changes are the lines. Well, 2 things change. The lines and the election results. Because of the lines. That's the only thing that changes. That's what redistricting, that's what gerrymandering is and what it does. Okay, now this is a profoundly sad slide in my estimation. And it's based on the 2016 Pennsylvania Senate and House races. In 21 of the 25 Senate races, 84% no primary challenge. Well, that's understandable. I mean, you got somebody who's an incumbent in office, or the parties endorse somebody, and parties are pretty strong, and they got a lot of people working behind them, and they don't want to buck that. That's going uphill. So fine, that makes sense. In 178, 23 House races, 88% no primary challenge. Unopposed in the general election, 48.6%. That is not a race. You got to have 2 to have a race. So in nearly 50% of our House and Senate elections in 2016, no contest. The only election that counted was the primary. Now, I don't want to denigrate primary voters. I'm a primary voter. However, this is I want to be accurate. This is the number of people in the United States that qualify to register to vote. You cut that in half, and you get the number of people that register to vote in the United States. In a presidential election, you get voter turnout 60%. Okay, 60%. Primary, 17%, 20%, 25%. So if you have 48% of the races unopposed, the only election that counts is this. They're making the choice for this. And this is not red, this is not blue, this is beige. There's a lot of good people up here, all the people that could register to vote, and they have a lot of different opinions, and they're not all ideolized and have one way, my way, my way. They're reasonable. Primary voters, if you go to the primary and you work the polls or you're there for any length of time, it is not rare to hear somebody say, I would never vote for somebody of that party. They are the devil incarnate, no good, un-American, won't vote for them. Can't vote for them, I'd rather die first. Or, I would never vote for anybody from that party, the devil incarnate, would never vote for them. They're awful, they're going to destroy this country. Now, not every primary vote is like that, but there are true believers. A good chunk of the true believers are in that 17 to 20%. So we are increasingly a country of moderates being governed by the fringes. And in my lifetime, I have certainly seen that come to fruition. For a country of moderates governed by the extremes. And you can say, well, you know, that's the party's fault. The party didn't run somebody. You ever run for office? I mean, you know, township supervisor, you got to get 15 signatures. Well, not a big deal and everything, get on the ballot. Fine. But you get a time, you got to get hundreds of signatures, knocking on doors, putting on that. It's a lot of work. And if you are in a district that you know you're going to lose, why are you doing it? And that is fine with the architects of gerrymandering. Because they want people to sit down and say, that's right, it isn't worth your time. We want a free milk run. We're going to still get campaign contributions, and we're going to spread that money around to help us get new friends, to get favors, to help other campaigns. All right, so gerrymandering, the inefficiency. And this is based on the 2013-2014 legislative session. It isn't all that different. And I have people here who can correct me if I'm wrong. But we passed 381 of 5,594 bills. Now, I want to be clear. I am not suggesting that a good legislature is one that passes 5,000 bills. I'm not. But I'm saying they passed 381 of 5,594 bills. The bottom 25% in all the states of the number passed. Lowest of all full-time legislatures. Lowest of all full-time legislatures. And by the way, I mean, we have a full-time legislature. And they passed 7% of the bills. So, what's the other 93% of their job? That might be an argument for not having a full-time legislature, unless they become productive and start doing something. And it's not like that Pennsylvania doesn't have issues that need to be worked on. You know, property tax reform. Did you ever hear this? They've been talking about this for 30 years? More? Nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. Equitable school funding. How long has that been around? More than 20 years? 30 years? Nothing gets done. These are important, crucial issues for our state and our residents. Unfunded state pension obligations. That is a boulder headed our way. Nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. Roads, highways, and bridges are infrastructure. Check with the American Society of Engineers. They rank the number of bridges by state that are considered to be structurally deficient. Now, structurally deficient does not mean it's about to fall down. But there are issues there that are going to get worse with wear and tear. And a few years ago, we had the highest percentage of structurally deficient bridges in the United States. It's gotten a little bit better because nobody wants to be at the top of that list. But there's a lot of work to be done. I drove here from Lancaster. There's a lot of work to be done. Redistricting reform. You know, we get some pushback from some legislators who say, well, this redistricting reform, you guys are just not happy with the election results of 2016 and you want to turn that around. The Legal Women Voters, who are sponsoring this event, they've been working on redistricting reform for more than 20 years. For more than 20 years, that bill after bill after bill has been ignored and ignored and ignored. This has nothing to do with the 2016 election. I joined FDPA before the 2016 election. It was set up before the 2016 election. something that needs to be done so that we have a representative democracy, which, when you came into the room, you might have thought we lived in. I'm telling you, not so much. Politicians draw the maps, conflict of interest. It is a conflict of interest to have them draw the maps. And again, when Republicans draw the maps, it's going to favor Republicans. When Democrats draw the maps, it's going to favor Democrats. When citizens draw the maps, it's going to favor citizens. Those are the maps we want. What do we want for fair district? We want an independent citizens commission, transparent process. We want to see the maps before they're voted on. We want the legislature to see the maps before we vote on them. We want them to know what they're voting on. We want public participation. Strict timeline for completion. We don't want to have a hearing in May and then the bill's not introduced until September. No, we don't want to have any competition and lobbyists drawing the line. So commission members, the way we envision the commission, legislation that we support, 11 registered voters. 4 from the party with the most registration, currently that's Democrats, 4 from the party with the next highest registration, currently that's Republicans. And then 3 unaffiliated registered voters. Like unaffiliated is not quite the right word. It can be independent, it can be Green Party, but 3 registered voters who haven't identified Democrat or Republican. By the way, in Lancaster County, if you check if you do this at your local board of records, you go to the County Board of Election Commission, and you see if you can get a list of parties that people registered for. In Lancaster County, there's people registered for something called the birthday party. This is somebody who wrote that down, didn't want to identify the Republican or Democrat. Well, I remember the birthday party. No politicians or lobbyists on the commission. Commissioners, to be on the commission, you have to have had the same registration for the last 3 years. We don't want somebody changing it a week before and being one party and another municipality. You have to have voted in the last 2 or 3 elections. Did you have a question?
Yeah, real quick. So voted 2 out of the 3 elections, like primary generals or just generals?
Generals.
Okay.
No federal, state, employee, or elected officials. No lobbyists or political candidates. No political party, committee, or PAC member employees. We're trying to get the political operatives out of the process. And it's hard to do. And some of the pushback we get is, where are you going to find 11 people who want to draw a district map who aren't politically involved? And that's a fair point. You can't remove the politics entirely from the process, but you can remove the conflict of interest. I mean, there are 13 million people in Pennsylvania, about 13 million. Now you're telling me in 13 million people, we can't find 11 who care more about democracy than they do about one party or the other? There are 11 people in this room that care more about it. Okay, so how does the process work? How do you get on the commission? Voters apply, open applications will be online, and maybe at post offices or other locations. And there are handouts that cover some of this stuff too. The Secretary of the Commonwealth verifies the qualifications. In the enabling legislation that will follow the bill, if the bill's passed, there are going to be rules about who can be in, who can be out. The 3 years to register one party, and no employees, no political operatives, that sort of thing. But they cannot be other issues too. There can be training in there. So you have to be trained to do this. But that's some of the pushback we get at their districts. I had one representative say to me, well, what if a housewife gets on the commission? Honest to God. And then he found or a communist. So his first concern was the housewife. Not the communist, the first concern was the housewife. I'm fine with something that says you can't have communists. And the attitude is, okay, the district leaders, the politicians are drawing the lines and everything, and said, well, what if that housewife gets elected to the legislature? Poof, qualified, right? It's not like the oath of office to be in the legislature gives you any more knowledge, hasn't been my experience. And so it's just an attitude about only the legislature can do this. They're not drawing the maps. This isn't like 1950 where they're guys with the shades, the green shades on, and the lamp, and they're drawing a drafting table and drawing the lines themselves and trying to figure out how to do it. This is done by computer. The commission is probably going to use the same consultants to draw the maps. The only thing that's going to change is what the commission gives to those consultants in order to draw the maps. No party registration, no party affiliation. You don't need that to draw the maps based on population. No demographic information. They don't need to know what you make, what the mean income is for that district. And how do they know this stuff? They know this stuff. Okay, do you remember Experian? A couple years ago, we all got hacked. And we all said, oh my God, all that information about our mortgages and our loans and our credit cards, that's out there. And they were selling that information before they got hacked. They were mad because somebody got it for free. They were selling that information. That's the business they're in. They sell it. And who do they sell it to? They sell that demographic information, among other people, firms that draw political maps. They buy that stuff. Political organizations buy that information. They want to know, how do they know how much money you make? How do they know your education? Well, did you ever apply for a mortgage? Did you ever apply for a car loan? That information, that's what they collect. I'm outraged that they're allowed to collect this information. No, I did not give Experian permission to gather that information on me and sell it to others. I didn't opt in for that, and I can't opt out. So that information is out there. So the Secretary of Commonwealth verifies the qualifications. Now, another pushback we get for some legislators is, well, I don't like this bill because the Secretary of the Commonwealth chooses the commission. Not true. The Secretary of the Commonwealth is the Powerball guy. The Powerball guy doesn't get to pick what the numbers are. The Powerball guy gets to read the numbers off the ping pong ball. That's it. I mean, if you can pick the numbers, I want that job. I want to be the Powerball guy. I'm going to do very well for myself. So they don't select them. They verify the qualifications. The qualifications are determined by the enabling legislation. So when legislators push back about, well, what are the qualifications going to be, you decide that. The legislature decides that. You get 3 pools of qualified applicants, Republicans, Democrats, and third parties. At this point, it's a random selection of 120 applicants, 40 from each pool. Random selection at this point. Strikes by each party, write down the legislation, remove up to 2 applicants per pool. That can change by amendment. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 10. Final random selection from the remaining group. 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, 3 registered voters who are not in affiliation. That's that process. So how do we get there? We have 2 bills, House Bill 23 and Senate Bill 23, 1023. I use 23 because it's what you do for me. This will change Pennsylvania's congressional redistricting process. Congressional process does not require an amendment to the Pennsylvania Constitution. This is just a simple statute. Goes through the House, goes through the Senate, creates 11-person commission, public input before and after the maps are drawn. Maps must comply with the Voting Rights Act provisions, compact but contiguous districts. House Bill 23 has, as of last night, it may have changed, has 99 co-sponsors, 21 Republicans, 78 Democrats. Senate Bill 1023 has 19 co-sponsors, 6 Republicans, 12 Democrats, and 1 independent. House Bill 22 and Senate Bill 1022. Same commission, same safeguards, same fail-safe, different timeline. This requires an amendment to the Pennsylvania Constitution, and that process requires that the bills pass 2 consecutive sessions and then go to referendum. House Bill 22 has 97 co-sponsors, 22 Republicans, 75 Democrats. Senate Bill 22 has 20 co-sponsors, 6 Republicans, 13 Democrats, 1 independent. And this is the timeline. This is very important. This is a steep hill, I know. But we have very capable representatives who are working on this. And some very capable ones working against it. But nonetheless, you're hopeful and you fight for what you believe in. This is the right thing to do. It's worth doing something about. And there should be a political price to pay if they don't. So this change in the congressional redistricting process passed this session. Commission selected, trained, and in place in early 2021. Notice trained. That takes care of the housewife issue for that one. We're just very concerned about that. House Bill 22 and Senate Bill 1022 amends the Pennsylvania Constitution. State House and Senate redistricting process passes in 2019-2020, this session. Passes in this session, and the clock is ticking. Passes again in early 2021. Early as in February. It has to pass that early in 2021. Goes to referendum in May 2021 primary. And boy, that's going to be an election because there's going to be a lot of tax money coming in saying, you don't really want elections to count, do you? The commission and panel under House Bill 23 is in place when the second bill passes. Then that commission, according to the legislation as it's now changed, that commission can then redraw congressional and state legislative districts. So that's how we fix both problems. Citizen involvement. Again, I said at the top of this that citizenship is a contact sport. You can schedule a speaker, you can have somebody like me, I hope you like me, and somebody such as I come to your group and speak. And everybody here is a member of other groups. You have other organizations that you're part of, churches and other things, and we're happy to send speakers to those. You can join Fair District PA. I hope you have fairdistrictpa.com. You can sign a petition there. There's also a petition, there's a pen there and everything. And you can sign a petition here. There's another petition on the floor there, and this petition is not a resolution petition or anything like that. It's just a petition saying, we give the legislator your name and your email address saying that you support redistricting reform. You can like Fair District PA Facebook page. That helps a lot. Share Fair District PA post, send it around. You can talk to your neighbors and friends about this. Write letters to the editor. And when you write letters to the editors, and you've had a conversation or contact with your legislator, mention him or her by name, because they all have staff, they all have Google searches for their names and stuff, and it'll just get their attention and it'll go into a file. Pass local resolutions. Now we have Mayor here. Where's Mayor?
Right here.
There's Mayor. Mayor's involved with resolutions for Fair District PA, and she's got a heavy lift here. She's going to go to other municipalities. Currently there are 23 Bucks County municipalities, plus the Bucks County Borough Association that has passed resolutions favoring redistricting reform. And how many did you say you had left?
I have about 30 left.
30 left, okay? There are counties in Pennsylvania, at least one county in Pennsylvania has the commissioners and every municipality has passed resolutions in support. And that's up north in the very, we're using the zero rate for Republicans. It works out pretty well. I mean, again, at the local level, municipal level, people see this. They see that, hey, wait a minute, that's not right. And you talk to supervisors, the people who manage boroughs and stuff, they have issues with the legislature because there are a lot of unfunded mandates that get shoved down their throats, and they grapple with it, and they can't change. They don't have much leverage. But I'd like to see some change. So currently, 22 counties, 345 municipalities. The mayor says that you're hopeful at the Bucks County Commissioners?
I have it in writing. On April 1st, they will announce that our Bucks County Commissioners will pass the resolution supporting an independent commission.
You can tell she's a trusting soul. She has it in writing.
I know.
And a lot of us have seen it.
You have to. If you already get emails from Fair Districts, and they're not forwarded by a friend who's a member, you're getting directed to you, yeah, you've already signed up. We want to pass local resolutions. Call the right or visit your legislator. Now, you guys are fortunate. You have 3 legislators here today, and that is just a wonderful thing. I've never had 3 legislators in one room at one time. Call them, write to them, talk to them. And some people will say, you know, I don't want, it's like talking to a stone wall. He or she is not going to ever vote for this, I'm not going to bother, whatever issue it is. And, you know, my take on that is, it's a representative government. And that person was elected to represent you, as well as your neighbor who might think completely different than you. But they need to hear your view. And if you go to them with your view, at least they cannot say, nobody ever talks to me about this issue, it's not important to anybody. Go and tell them. And be nice when you do it. The job's a pain. It really is. There's a lot of, they're giving up a lot of dinners with their families, and a lot of traveling, and a lot of stuff. You know, they come to meetings like this, they don't have to be here. It's a tough job. It's a tough job. And the other thing about calling and writing legislators, and this was eye-opening for me. When I started doing lobby visits for FDPA, I was amazed to find out that unless the bill is in that representatives committee, chances are, if you've done your homework, you're going to know more about the issue than the legislator. We tend to go, oh, I can't go and talk to them. They know more than that. No, they don't. They don't. They're busy. They got other things going on. They got a committee. They got how many bills in front of that committee they got to be up to speed on. They may not have a good handle on it, and the only information they're getting is from their leadership, and that is not the full story. So go in and talk to them about the legislation. By the way, this legislation is currently 8 pages long. Pretty big type. So it's not a hard read. Tony can read it. All right. So right following, but these are some legislators. He's not a co-sponsor of HB 22 or 23. Now, although last session he was a co-sponsor of our legislation, but we're told that he's kind of leaning toward it. So.
Only because it's an election year.
What's that?
Only because it's an election year.
Well, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Well, resolution, you know, and to that, there is some, you know, some co-sponsors will co-sponsor legislation just to get their districts off their back. You know, hey, I'm a co-sponsor, leave me alone. We talk to them anyway because my policy is assume goodness despite any evidence to the contrary. You know, really. And when you do that, when you approach it that way, it changes the conversation. It changes the conversation because you're not angry.
I want to thank her for co-sponsoring both bills.
Both bills.
And also
and that was Wendy Thomas that sponsored both bills.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I don't think.
But has she sponsored both bills?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seen it.
And then you have it both?
Yeah.
And Megan's
I'm
on
one.
she's on one.
She has. I have concerns about 23 language. That's all.
I'll talk to you. Well,
I'm so glad to have you. Now I can
Okay.
talk to you afterwards. We're good. I have my homework.
okay, good.
I did my homework. Yeah, right.
All right.
It's a problem.
So contact, let's talk to them. This is the Thompson, 6th District Senate, and his address. He is a co-sponsor of 1022 instead of 1023. A resolution supporting municipal reform. The municipal represents 40% of its constituents, and we actually have petitions signed by 1,700 of his constituents. And this is information that we take to the legislators when we go on lobby visits, because, you know, 1,700 signatures is very important. And with that, I'd be happy to take questions. And we have, oh, go ahead.
I want to invite Wendy in. Thanks for taking the time.
No problem. I'm a big supporter, or is my primary contact on this. I've written letters. I just want to say a little bit, maybe I'm feeling a little defensive, but I'm a freshman. I've only been legislature, and mostly everything that was said, not mostly, everything was said was true, but one thing is, just so you know, we are working really hard. We and the House passed more bills so far, and again, I'm with you, volume is not necessarily good, but I'm just saying, we've been working. We passed more bills so far this year than we did the entire last 2 years. So, there are over 50 women now in the legislature. Just some good points. And this is an important issue. And one thing you did mention that being new, and this was not my plan, so I didn't study state government for years and years and years before I did this. One thing that does happen is these bills don't run unless the committee chair decides to run. So one of the things I think you can do is write to the committee chair and say you'd like the bill run. You're not as constituent. Your constituents, some people would say way more, but you know, I myself, I am the prime sponsor of about 15 bills, but I'm working very hard on a bill right now to increase our mental health support in our schools. I'm very passionate about it. And it's a full-time job to advocate for my one bill. That's my other 14 bills I'm not even touching because what you guys are all doing across the state, I'm doing myself to try to get something done. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of work. And frankly, each committee has hundreds of bills in it. So the committee chair, I mean, I'm not saying it's an easy task, to the point of that we might not know because there are 5,000. So I come with certain business experience. I know a lot about those topics. I don't happen to know about, 4,000 other topics that I haven't had any exposure to. So it is good to come in and talk and share your information. And I would say legislators, I know, there's 203 of us in the House. I'd say over 90% of them will take a meeting with you and sit down and have a discussion. I'm sure there are some that won't, but the ones that I know, particularly I know the ones in Bucks County, I mean, if you call my office and ask for an appointment, nobody says why or why, but there's no decision making. It's like, can you come into this time of the state? So, people want to hear from you, want to know what you think, and you may have more information than we do. And most of us are happy to have it and look at it. So, sorry for being a little defensive, but I'm working hard, I promise you.
Does not apply to all legislators. Anything positive I said about legislators does not apply to all legislators. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Are there any other states in the United States that have anything like what we propose here?
Yeah, right. Virginia, I don't know if you saw the news. This is kind of around that time. Virginia legislature just voted, the Democrats just voted to undermine their own power and grant redistricting reform. So that's a positive. Arizona has redistricting commission, California, Ohio, Michigan, Colorado, Mississippi, Utah. The states that are having the most success with redistricting reform are states with ballot initiatives, where the people can put an issue on the ballot and vote on it. And the states that aren't having as much success are states that don't have a ballot initiative, where the political parties control the process. So what does that tell you? People want it. Yeah, Pennsylvania does not have, trust me, we have this doing more than it is. And it's not her. It's the party leadership. It's the party leadership that controls the process. She's not going to say anything, but I'm betting that there's something to wrangle her about the rules and what she can do and what she can do and how she has to proceed. And you work real hard, you get all those signatures, you run for office, you raise the money, you do what you can, and you want to represent the people, and you get to Harrisburg, and the party leadership has their thumb. They do. They do. They control, and it's not just whether you get a nice office. It's probably, but it's not just whether you get a nice office. They can decide whether you're going to be challenged in an election, whether you're going to be primary. They can decide what your district is. They can decide whether you live in your district anymore. They have a lot of control. And every year, and this year there was a push to change the rules, and that's still an effort, a fair district. And we get a lot of people who want to change the rules, but then we get a lot of people who don't want to block the leadership. And you go along get along, which I think originated in the party. So it's a tough climb, but the reason we have so many tough climbs, and I think most of them are genuine, is because they don't like it any more than we do. They rankle under that control that party leadership has.
And just to follow up on that,
Oh.
what do those districts look like compared to Pennsylvania's now? Like, so for Arizona, California, those that have been in it for a long time.
Well, California only been in for a couple of years.
Since the last census.
Yeah. Well, there are, like Iowa has a redistricting process where you have a commission and then the maps are voted out by the legislature. But if you think of Iowa, I mean, it's a patchwork. It's all straight lines. I mean, there's very few borders with rivers and mountains and ridges like Pennsylvania has. We have municipalities where they go along very odd things. So the all in play is that in California, it's changed the election results. And more than beneficial, because in California it was the Democrats that were doing the gerrymandering. Arnold Schwarzenegger, former Republican governor of California, was really one of the proponents of changing that, and he worked very hard for that during that period. So you have to be careful, because some of these are, you have the members of the commission are selected by the legislature, or the governor, and stuff like that. I'm not crazy about that. I want an independent citizens commission, not the legislature. Government thinks what it is. And it's just the nature of being human. There are going to be people, when there are interests at stake, people are going to try to game the system. We get this passed, we get this done. You're not done. You got to keep going. You got to see how it works out. You got to see if does it need to be tweaked. And once it's done, once you get the legislation and it's the law and stuff, then you can just tweak the rules for governing how the commission operates. So you don't have to go through that process maybe. And then the Constitution becomes much easier to fix. But, yeah, I'm guaranteed there will be things that will have to be fixed. There will be something that we didn't anticipate, something, hey, that's going to happen, that's what we wanted, it'll have to be fixed. But it's going to be so much better than the process we have. Any other questions?
I just had a comment about something that I learned, and that when I go and talk to different councils and boards of supervisors. In the state of Pennsylvania, we have 16 cities here that have led far in excess of what is in Flint, Michigan.
The water system.
Allentown is 6 times Flint. And there's 15 other cities more than Flint. Granted, there isn't anyone in Bucks County that has a terrible water problem. Levittown seems to have a high number, but these are 6 times, 5 times, 4 times more than Flint. We've known about this for decades. In the last 20 years, 25 bills have been introduced into the General Assembly in Harrisburg. Not one of them have ever been voted on. They have never made it out of the committees. Not one. This is a problem that affects all of us, and especially kids, and nothing's being done about it. And I believe that a big part of it is gerrymandering. The majority party controls a good portion, if not all, of the committees in Harrisburg. And 52% of those heads of those chairpersons of those committees do not receive any competition, either in the primary or in the general elections. They're there for decades.
And who picks the chair for the committees?
The caucuses.
Which is led by the party leadership. The party leadership decides who the chair is. So that's another way. If you have a passion for a topic or something, and you want to be on a committee, you want to chair that committee, you got to play nice with the party leadership in order to get that assignment, and you can ask the party leadership, maybe you're not passing bills or letting on a committee because the party leadership told you not to. You want to be in charge of the committee to do what you can do, but you're not allowed to do everything that you should. That's life. I mean, we all had jobs. That's what they pay us for, right? We wouldn't go in if they didn't pay us.
Tony, I just wanted to make one other comment. I just got word from two or three roles. So I wanted to make sure that people here knew that there was a good reason for this one. We hear that we really got intended.
Okay, so Frank Ferry was intended on the all the way for a few months. Any other questions?
Yeah, just in the status, in case people are in other districts. Tommy Tomlinson recently is a co-sponsor of the two Senate bills. Steve Tenucero and Maria Collette are both co-sponsoring both bills. Senator Lynch from the northern part of the county is not co-sponsoring either bill. He's not supportive, actually. 8 out of 10 of our representatives in the county are supporting both bills. Megan is supporting one of the two bills.
One and a half.
Rachel talked.
One and a half.
But already knows, we've met, I have a lot of green folders, like
We've met.
yes.
How about Tom Burke?
Tom Burke,
He's- yeah,
yes.
he's a co-sponsor.
He is a co-sponsor.
Yes, so he's on.
Now, don't you know some of the co-sponsor doesn't mean you don't get in contact
That's
with
right.
them, you can contact them and thank them. And ask them, what other legislators can you talk to?
And we're having a letter campaign right now across the state. All of their districts have petition signers. So we have over 100,000 people who have signed a petition across Pennsylvania. And they're all being asked this month to write a letter either to thank the representatives and senators who have co-sponsored or to ask those who haven't co-sponsored to please co-sponsor the bill. So we're nearly half, with 99, or almost at the halfway, the majority of representatives being co-sponsors.
And that's a postcard or an email rather than a letter. Letter will go to the problem.
Yes. Yeah, we have postcards.
Yes, we do have postcards here.
Get them to your friends. And thank you.
I have my stuff. Thank you. So, real quick, I don't even know if this is on. Oh, it is on. Okay, here we go. So, Ardith knows, and the other volunteers that came to my office, which is great, came up with a great work in advocating for this. And unlike when Wendy was saying she wasn't in government or anything, I studied poli-sci in school. So we always did case studies on other states and our current state of where, gerrymandered districts
Right.
know a lot about it. So, I signed on to one, which was 22 and not 23. And the one part of the one bill is my concerns. It's about striking names. And I know the whole purpose of doing this is to get rid of the party leadership, it sounds like, and their powers of doing certain actions. And the one part of the bill, 23, that I know we sat and talked about for a while, and understand your positions on it as fair districts, is that the leadership gets to strike names. And if they're already in a verified pool of applicants, why are we letting leadership and giving them more power and consolidating more power for leadership positions to strike out any names? If they're already a verified pool of people that we're pulling from, was my concern.
Well, the concept.
Where did that come from? Why did we allow
Well,
them to strike names?
it's based on the peremptory challenges in a jury trial.
Yeah.
They have the defense and the prosecution each get a certain number of challenges to the jurors. They can just say, the jurors are interviewed, and they can ask for a juror to be excused without giving any.
But I
I don't want to
real quick,
put precedent that one.
if it's a verified already pool of applicants, though, why do we need that piece of letting them strike names? I just think it gives them another power play that we're trying to get away from, right?
Well, it's a limited number of challenges.
Yeah.
You have a pool of what, 120?
No more than 6 total out of the process.
Yeah.
It's strike.
So what it is basically granting them some control where they get the reassurance that if there's somebody who should not, in their estimation, they know to be a political hack,
Yeah.
shouldn't be in there, they get to do
Yeah.
it. Or if there's
Isn't that-
somebody they don't like.
So, and this is why, because I love this. This is actually really good, condensed information when we talk about it that we went through in our folders. So under 3, it's polls of qualified applicants. And if they're already qualified, is my problem of why we can actually let some power play be done by only leadership positions. Listen, I'm a freshman too. I just got it myself. I don't understand why we're giving them another power play is my problem. Because I really do think we need reform on this. I'm 100% on board. And I just don't like that piece of it. So when we were talking, you said that we could possibly be open to amendments and doing things that's where I was at. I was going to do an amendment, but I don't want to stall the process either and be in the way of reform, because I know there's a very short timeline to get this.
It's currently, but on the pool of 120, it's currently 2 challenges
Yeah. Yes.
for each party. So it's 4 people out of 120.
Why do we need it? I guess it's the bottom line. Like, who made sure that we
Here's
had
the way I
this
like to
there?
look at it.
It
Look at it.
bothers me that we're letting
Look
leaders
at it as a pool
do
of
something.
116.
Yes.
That can't be, anybody can challenge anything. You know, you still have 116. And then, because, you know, one reason is it's part of the response to the argument that the legislators should be involved.
Yes. Oh,
They're
yeah.
involved. Okay? The legislation, is it going to be part of leadership or is it going to be voted in?
Yeah.
The way it's currently written, it's part of leadership to get to make those.
Yeah, and I just thought if we're trying to make it the integrity of the system of like not letting that happen anymore, that we're not letting certain people in power make those decisions, and it is a purified like citizens commission, and we already have the qualified pool. Why do we have to strike out names? And I know I'm being like a weird stickler about it, and listen, it doesn't mean because I'm not a sponsor on it. It doesn't mean if it came up for a vote on the floor, I would vote for. I'm not in the committee of state government either, so
Right.
I can't add an
You have
amendment.
any friends on state government committee?
No, they put me on there. I don't know why. But I think among many other very important committees too, though. Thankful for that. But I just think that we need to be mindful of that too. And I just think I guess the poli sci of me and the people that I represent, to look them in the face and be like, yes, this is truly the integrity of the system. We're not letting these higher up power plays be done. Striking names really bothers me. So I have an issue with that. But I think when I talk to Ardith, don't let the, what did you say? Don't let the perfect be in the way of the good, right? Is that what you said? And believe me, I've had many meetings on this, not just with you as well, but other, constituents in my district, because I think it is something needed. I just want to make sure we're mindful that we're not consolidating power and letting that be done. I have an issue with it. I guess I just personally have an issue with it, to be fair with you too.
One way I can prove to you it's not consolidating power is party leadership is fighting tooth and nail against it.
But leadership will change. Like, here's the thing. I'm being 34 tomorrow is my birthday. So I hopefully will be on this earth a little longer. And my daughter's 5, and I'm looking out not just for now. This is going to be what we do for a long time. And I just want to be a part of something that I'm like, yes, I feel completely in my heart good about, and I don't like that piece of it. Otherwise, I think, and I commend everybody who cares about this issue. Great job. I love to come and learn and listen. So if you have any things you want to throw my way, please do. But that's just my only concern. So I don't want to take all the time.
So you don't let me down. So offer an amendment, I recommend all of you.
But I don't want to do that if it's going to stall the process either. So I agree because Ardith and I talked about that. So.
Yeah. So a lot of times before a bill will come out of committee, leadership will know the result of what's going to happen with the bill about the vote in the House and the Senate. So, and part of that process is whether or not we're going to amend it or not amend it. Leadership says no amendments to or they can put in some irritating amendments, poison pills, and stuff like that, another concept. This was done last.
I think the fact that Turzai is not running it kind of dilutes his power, and it allows legislators to be more authentic. They're supported.
Representative Turzai was the leadership, and he's announced that he's now running for re-election, and he's going to be out of vote. But it looks like what Brian Cutler and Mike Fisher might be stepping up to that role.
You don't. It could be anybody.
Do you think so?
Who knows who has it?
But in leadership is changing, but leadership is leadership, in my estimation.
And then can I just say one more thing about amendments too, because we were just chatting? Amendments can happen on the floor, but also in the committee itself. Unless you're a committee member of that committee, you can't have your amendments offered there. So if I wanted to do an amendment, it would have to wait to the floor, and I don't want a disruption on the floor either to happen. So that's why I'm just asking, kind of like what you think is best practices too, because I know this is very important. So I'm just saying. But I'm very open to still voting for it, even though I'm not in this one. I guess that's like, I don't know the poli-sci in me. Yeah.
You would be co-sponsor number 100.
I know.
That would be a major milestone. That would be really